All right, what's up, guys? This is the Low Boost Podcast, episode 3. I'm your host, Ken, and I'm really excited to have my next guest on today because, with me and my racing and, just travels, and I meet a lot of great people in the car community. And if you haven't done track days, you probably will meet some of the best people that are involved with cars. And having Samyau on today from trackxperienz is I'm really excited to have Sam on today. So Sam, welcome.
Yeah, hello everyone, and thanks for having me, Ken.
No problem. I want to tell everybody a little bit about my experience with your first track day. My first track day period was with you guys at Oktoberfest in 2017, and I went there the night before. And I didn't know anybody. The guy that I was supposed to go with kind of bailed, and I was like, I'm not going to not go. I got to go now. And I was overwhelmed by the welcoming support of everybody there. I went there not knowing anybody, and I left with like 10 to 15 like really good friends afterwards, of who we still keep in contact with now today. And we all raced together in mix of in person and now online. And the experience that I had with trackxperienz really kind of spoiled me, because every other track day I did after that elsewhere, I was like, well, this isn't the same. So you do put on a great track experience, and that's kind of why I like the name. Now your racing career, though, you're a professional racer before you started doing your own track days, right?
Yes, sir. I was fortunate to had some support from sponsorships and good friends to fuel my passion. I went through some early years of driver development programs with racing schools, and I was discovered by one of the directors for a racing series, and he basically invited me to speak to a few people. That got me into some testing on race cars, and I was fortunate to perform, and that sparked some interest from sponsors to explore having me in their seat in the race car.
Now, how did you actually get discovered? I mean, did they see you just like tearing up a racetrack somewhere, or?
It happened, my motorsports career, or what your so-called competitive career, started late, I would say. Most people these days, not even people, kids these days, they start off at an extremely young age, at even like down to like 3 years old, right after they learn how to walk. But my days of competing or starting in this journey of mine is really late. I went to a driver development or racing school program called Formula Renault, racing school in Asia, in my early 30s. So
Wow.
I was actually way behind on getting formally trained, but at the same time, I've always been a gearhead at heart. I've always been into cars since a teenager. I was messing around with imports, even down to like, not proud of it, but I've done street racing here in the tri-state area. I did I did a lot of import.
We call that Mexico, Sam.
Yeah,
You were in Mexico to do that.
They do have tri-state in Mexico, but I'm not sure what the zip code is. But but yeah, I've always been a motorsport fan or a car nut, right? But to formally train and really understand the physics of speed and motorsports, yeah, that was dating back to my early 30s when I went to this Formula Renault racing school with a few of my buddies. And I was discovered, like I said earlier, by one of the racing directors. And he said, you're pretty quick. Maybe we can get you into a test car and see how you do.
Now, what classes did you race in?
My first race ever in a competitive scene with stewards and real audience was in a Porsche 996 GT3 Cup car. This was a pure form of race car that those people don't know what it is. It's a complete raw race car. It's basically off a Porsche 996 GT3 platform, but it's a factory built purpose race car. Okay. So obviously extremely raw. What I mean by that is there's no assist there's no anti-lock brakes, there's no traction control, and is a 5-speed manual race car. So you have to do all that work with heel tolling and yeah, it's a workout on its own. So, but that was
hell yeah.
Yeah, but that was a very, very exciting race car that I was fortunate to jump in as a first one. As many people don't really get to start at that level of a race car. Most people start from a
Yeah.
very low profile, lower speed type of race car, like a Miata, like a spec Miata, or like in Europe they race these the Clio, the Renault Clios, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yep.
Nice. And then did you drive that GT3 Cup car through your whole career, or you had a couple different ones?
No, that was the first race car that they put me in as a trial race. So that was my first race in that car. I kind of jumped in at one of the last races for that particular series in Asia, and I was lucky to podium right on my first race. So
Oh my
that
God.
first race I podium. I think I placed third in the um, semi-pro, or they call it pro-am class. So
Okay.
I did fairly well, even though the car was not perfectly conditioned. What I mean by that is, that car was racing throughout the entire year. So being that was the last race I jumped in, the motor was not completely fresh with high compression, and so it was a powered down car. But at the same time, I think I did fairly well in it, and I was fortunate to podium. So that made some good impression with the racing community there, and that sparked into the next seat, the following year.
Nice. Now, you've probably raced a lot of crazy tracks around the world. What are some of your favorites?
Uh, my favorites, I don't have one particular, but I do have a few that really stands out from the rest. My favorite one is obviously the most scariest one that I've been on. It's called the Macau Grand Prix. It's a street circuit in South China, which is very, very famous. It dates back to the 50s,
Oh, wow.
where most Formula One drivers, prior Formula One drivers, and even current Formula One drivers have raced there before through their development program in Formula 3, because that's one of the last stop for a global Formula 3 championship.
Nice.
So it's an extremely difficult track. There's no runoffs. Basically, you're driving against wall to wall or rail to rail. There's no even a tire wall. So it's extremely dangerous. But at the same time, it's so satisfying when you get it done right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. There's no forgiveness there, huh?
yeah, and it's not a track that you can go during the off season to practice. It's a city that they only shut down for 4 days to conduct racing in November usually, and
Jeez.
even during the race days, they turn it back to normal pedestrian street traffic after 6 p.m. for instance. So and then in the 6 in the morning they shut it down and you can go racing again.
Oh
It's
my
very
gosh. So
unique.
there's beer cans on the racetrack, or they got to clear it all off first?
Oh yeah, of course they clear it off and eat banana peels, right?
Yeah. Jeez.
But it's basically, they call it the Monaco of the Orient, right? So
Okay.
it's just like Monaco, but even faster as far as speed. So if you
Wow.
guys ever have an opportunity to go on YouTube, just YouTube it, and it's all over the place. They have
I'm gonna throw it up in the green screen behind me so people can see what you're talking
Oh, you
about.
should. Yeah, I mean, they
I'm
race
definitely gonna do that.
motorcycles, they race supercars, they race Formula 3.
Wow.
It's super intense. It's basically, top speed of 180, 185 miles per hour. Basically, your side mirrors are going, basically rubbing against the wall at every turn.
Now, what car did you race when you've raced Macau?
I raced two cars there in a span of, I think, 3 years. I raced a Porsche 997 GT3 Cup car with
Ooh.
sequential
Okay.
gearbox. I also raced a Lamborghini Gallardo GT3 race car there.
Okay.
So these are the two cars that I formally or officially raced there in the circuit.
Nice. Now, how long was your racing career?
Um, it's the first race was in 2007.
Okay.
My last was, I think, 2013.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
I said that's got to be it's a crazy accomplishment to make it to the pinnacle of professional motorsports, because I mean a lot of people say they drive and I'm like, I love driving. I think I'm getting better every time I step on track, but what it takes to be skilled at that level is something you have to dedicate your life to. Basically, there's no way around it. And then even when you do that, you still might not be good enough to get to that level, right? So
Yeah, I'm truly blessed, and I'm every day I still follow my friends, and even my engineers or partners that I've made along the way, that I'm still following their journey or their racing career, because it's just such an addictive lifestyle.
Who are some of your favorite drivers that you got to drive with and that you still like today?
I've trained with and been coached by many top professionals and pros around the world. But with my development and training as well as racing, it was mainly in Asia. But at the same time, a lot of the team partners and even engineers were coming from all over the place, from Europe, from Australia, from Japan, from the US. So I can't say there's one person that stands out from the rest, because I've made so many friends along the journey, but they all have made it an influential part of my development, right? And
yeah.
So I mean, a lot of them are still good friends of mine. I still follow them. I still stalk them on Facebook. When when I see them podium, I'm jealous because I feel like I can compete with them. Oh, I can, at least I can keep up with them when I was racing. But it's just a very, very addicting sport, to me anyway.
Listen, I'm hooked too. Not even professionally, just as a hobbyist. That wraps up part 1 of my interview with Samyau. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on the rest of this interview. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.